Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Quick Spin, the Autoweek podcast that gets to the essence of the automobile. Today, we have a very special treat. The great Mark Vaughn spent some time with the 2021 Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport. That's right, the $4 million track-focused variant of the Bugatti Chiron. And it is amazing. You can take a look at this car on our Instagram page right now. That's at Autoweek USA. And hey, while you've got your phone out, why don't you switch over to our Facebook page and click that like button? That way you get all the great Autoweek content we deliver daily. We're going to get right to this Bugatti in just 1 second. But before that, we have to pay the bills. Want to bring your love of cars to the next level? Become a member of the Track Club from our friends at Road and Track and receive 6 supersized double issues of the Ultimate Lifestyle magazine for the automotive enthusiast per year, plus access to digital content, dozens of partner privileges, exclusive invites to editorial events, and first dibs on insider automotive events, both online and around the world. Hop on in by visiting roadandtrack.com/join. That's ROADANDTRECK.com/JOIN. And Mark, tell me about this Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport.
Well, by golly, right off the top, everything you've heard is true, okay? So you're not going to be able to complain about anything on this car. It is as fabulous, as fantastic as you have been led to believe. You have finally, for once, they weren't lying to you.
Can you explain what Pur Sport means for the listeners that aren't necessarily familiar with the Bugatti lineup?
Yeah, well, so the Chiron, of course, is the follow-on to the Veyron. The Veyron being the first car that they made when Volkswagen bought Bugatti in 1998. And, of course, the genius of Ferdinand Piëch, the genius, is what drove all of these great cars. And he insisted that it be able to go, I think the original dictum was 250 miles an hour, but he also had to be able to take his wife to the opera in it. So I assume they eventually went to the opera in one of these. I don't know which opera it was or when that happened, but it could easily go 250. And depending on how you kit it out, it can go over 300 miles an hour. Now, that's the thing. So the current model of Bugatti is called the Chiron. They came up with the Chiron in 2016. And since then, you can't just keep selling the Chiron over and over again. People they'll catch on and they'll go, wait, this is the same one that you just sold me last week. What they've done is they've sort of specialized these cars, these Chirons, into different things. There's the 300 plus, there's the Noir, there's the 110 ans, which means years, celebrating their 110 years since their founding in 1909.
And the Pur Sport, let's not forget.
And the Pur Sport. So the Pur Sport, obviously, for some reason, they spelled it P-U-R. I don't know what language spells it P-U-R. Maybe it's French, because they're sort of a French company. Maybe not. So anyway, it's just for sporty driving. So they made a bunch of changes. They lightened it up. It has firmer springs, firmer dampers, firmer bushings, very lightweight magnesium forged wheels, wrapped in Michelin Sport Cup 2R tires. They changed the electronic stability control, Sport Plus mode. Altogether, this thing will go around a corner at 1.6 Gs. Is that amazing? 15% shorter gear ratios. Official 0 to 60 time is 2.3 seconds. But I know for you're wondering, what is the 0 to 186 mile per hour time? That is officially listed at under 12 seconds. So you can get from your house out there in Westmoreland all the way across to the Van Dyke intersection in less than 12 seconds.
Well, that is important news. Also, there is a massive, and I can't stress this enough, massive wing attached to the back of the Bugatti, which I think you talk about in this quick little walk around that you did. Let's jump to that right now.
Okay, so we are approaching the fabulous Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport. It is, well, the color, now you can't really start off by complaining, but this color is sort of a slate gray with dark black accent lines, and then there are some highlights in red. So it kind of looks, I wouldn't have chose this color, but I'm not complaining, okay? I'm not complaining. Don't send in your letters. It's a Bugatti Chiron. It's $4 million, 1,500 horsepower. And the Pur Sport is, of course, tuned for much better handling, and it's lighter and all this other stuff. But anyway, it still looks, it's got a presence unlike anything else. A lot of these cars kind of have the same basic proportions, the basic stance and everything, but the Bugatti really stands out among all of those, as it should. It's got a prominent feature on the Pure Sport is this huge rear wing that says on the back of it Bugatti in big red letters on the black wing, and then in the front little grille there has the Bugatti logo and the number 16 on it. There's a huge. It's not a scallop; it's a design function. It goes around the side of the car, a beautiful half circle that integrates wonderfully into the overall look. It's as if the designer just did one single line with his pencil and came up with that. That line is carried over inside the cockpit. It's got the same shape, divides the passenger from the driver. It's kind of cool. It's nicely done. And then once you get inside, it's a little bit tight getting in there. It's not as bad as getting in a Group C car or something, but it's a little bit tight sliding in. Then once you're in, there's no problem. The seat adjusts all the ways that you need it to adjust, and ain't no problem there.
There we go, and we're going to go for a drive here shortly. But Mark, I wanted to touch on something that kind of didn't get addressed, the interior. When you're paying almost $4 million for a car, the interior better be pretty good. What did it feel like on the inside?
I would like it to be lined with diamonds for $4 million.
That sounds very uncomfortable, to be honest. Sounds very firm.
That's probably why they didn't do it, but it is not lined with diamonds. It is, when you get inside of it, it's just your basic interior. It's not, there's nothing that wows you or jumps out at you. And I mean, what are you going to do? Complain that there aren't enough cup holders? Or, I didn't like the number of cubby holes in my Bugatti. You can't complain about it. It is snug. It is, it's not all enveloping. There is side bolstering, for instance, because you're going to need it in this car, but it doesn't overwhelm you. It doesn't make you feel like you're dropping into some kind of race bucket, but it's very comfortable. And there were a few adjustments, and they were just the right amount of adjustments. And I felt pretty quickly very comfortable driving this car.
Well, there's no better segue to the drive review than that right there.
Okay, we are in the Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport. Jamie is my co-pilot. So we're in the Chiron Pur Sport, which of course is the ultimate sports car in so many ways. And let's start it right up. Listen. It's quiet, isn't it? It's got Ettore Bugatti's signature pops up on the thing. So the shifter is very simple. Just knock it over once for drive, and once more if you want to go into sport. And then to start moving, you just lift your foot off the pedal, and it starts going. Isn't that amazing? So we just finished a good chunk of Angeles Crest Highway in this, and remarkably there was no traffic. Well, 2 cars, and they got out of the way politely. The car, the fabulous Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport, is every bit as great as you would think it would be. It's very powerful. There's no lacking for torque anywhere on this, and I haven't really run out the tachometer too high, although it appears to run out at 8,000 RPM.
6,900.
6,900 RPM. So I don't think we got up too close to that because there's so much torque in the thing. You don't really need to be up there where the horsepower is, and especially on these corners here, they're low, relatively low speed corners. So of the driving modes, we kept it in the EB driving mode, which is the most comfortable, because this road has some fairly significant bumps that you don't notice until you're going on 125 miles an hour. So in order to accommodate those, we kept it in the softer mode. Had we put it all the way up to the mode with the checkered flag in it, which I guess is the race mode, we would have had some problems. And Jamie will explain what those problems might have been.
Yeah, I mean, in our handling mode, we have the car at the lowest ride height that we can, and we also stiffen up the dampers. And yeah, like you were saying, on a road that is, bumpy or wavy, it's not always the most efficient way to get up the road. So we actually want a bit of compliance in the car for that kind of road. And so in our EB mode, the dampers can adjust to a degree if there's roll, and it gives us the compliance we need to ride that kind of surface.
Yeah, so it actually worked. I was surprised that there was a bit more vertical movement in the suspension, particularly in the front end. It wasn't bouncing, but there's, when you ask for compliance, you get compliance in the form of a softer setup, and that is probably, like Jamie said, and he's a professional driver, so you got to listen to him. But it's on a bumpy road. If you're setting up your race car, you have different settings for springs and shocks and everything based on how bumpy the thing is, whether it's raining, how tight the corners are. And for this one, the softer mode was actually the more compliant mode was a little bit better.
If there's a young person in your life who's really into cars, give them the gift of R&T Crew, the ultimate subscription box by Road and Track for kids ages 6 to 10. Every month, a box is delivered to their door and is stuffed with cool accessories, fun activities, and a magazine chock full of facts, stories, games, and more. Sign up now to receive the all-new Mad Scientist box and enter code Autoweek for 10% off an annual box subscription. Just head over to rtcrew.com, that's rtcrew.com, and use code Autoweek.
One thing that's interesting that I looked up before this was that engine, the W8 engine, is amazing. So it's W8 would be 16 valves, or 16 cylinders, 64 valves. It's just crazy. It's like, remember the old Volkswagen narrow angle VR6? It's like you made two narrow angle VR8s and joined them together on the same crankshaft, and you come up with 1,500 horsepower. I'm still amazed at that. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah,
is that okay?
Before we get the letters, let's just be very clear. It's a W16, not to be confused.
W16. What did I say?
Half of that, which is the W8. No, the W16 is a marvel. It's a lot of valves in there, and it's a lot of cylinders. That's 16 of them last I checked.
And it's so what they call tractable. So you have a peak of 1,180 pound-feet of torque, but that is available to you from 2,000 to 6,000 RPM. So on my drive, like I said, it was on a short, twisty mountain road. And, that's where torque was much more necessary, appreciated than the 1,500 peak horsepower, which comes all the way up at the red line at 6,900 RPM. So it's a very tractable, easy to use, very comfortable, pleasant engine placed in what could easily be a daily driver. It's so nice, especially if your daily drive happens to take you over the Route du Napoleon or something. So there you go.
On a quick spin, we try to get to the essence of the automobile, and this Bugatti is no exception. Obviously, its essence is probably the combined value of all of the cars that we've done so far. But there's more to it than that. So, Mark, I posit to you, what is the essence of the Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport? What is its raison d'etre, as the French would say?
And, French would be a good one because though Ettore Bugatti was, I think, Italian, he moved to Molsheim, which eventually became part of France. It was originally part of Germany. But yeah, it's, I would say it is the everything car. Obviously, it won't fit 4x8 sheet of plywood. Okay, I concede that. But it's exactly as Dr. Piak said so many years ago, you can go 250 miles an hour and also go to the opera. So it's pretty much everything that you want a car to do, except haul 4x8 sheet of plywood.
Well, if I ever need a $4 million car, I know exactly where to look, and that would be probably Bugatti. But I think that's a great place to wrap it up, and I couldn't agree more. It sounds like it does literally everything you want, as long as what you want to do is flex on everybody. It's a tough job, Mark, but somebody has to drive these things, so thank you for doing that.
I'm all about sacrifice.
Like I said, it's time to wrap this one up. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to head over to our Facebook page and click that like button. Also, don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts and drop us a review, or wherever you get this bad boy. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear about in the future. I can't stress this enough. Without your listenership, none of this would be possible. So thank you for listening. And see you next week.